Gon' kick it off then. Whoa. Gon' kick it off then. It ain't a game, kick it off then. Whoa. So gon' kick it off then. Huh? What we talking about, it goes deep.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another high-scoring episode of WTF Too, Women Talk Football Too. I'm your girl, Latasha Miles, a.k.a. Joan Madden, the Gridiron Goddess, and this is GSP in the network, and I am accompanied by my lovely, amazing, talented, beautiful, and birthday girl, ladies and gentlemen. Introduce yourself to the people.
What's up, good people? I am the one, the only, the touchdown tomboy. And I just had an amazing 40th birthday. I know I don't look it. I got the baby face. I got a baby face. But yes, I had an amazing birthday. My husband showed up and showed out. My family showed up and showed out. And my in-laws showed up and showed out. And I mean, girl, I just had an amazing time. I think I've had a party or some type of something every day since Friday of last week. And so I'm excited. I'm tired and excited, but I mean, it was really so much fun. And I'm just glad that I'm still in the land of the living.
Ain't that the truth? Especially with everything going on with COVID and stuff. I think at this point, we're all just happy to have another birthday and keep looking amazingly beautiful. Keep drinking from that fountain of youth and definitely celebrate this is your birthday month. So celebrate all the way up until September the 30th, definitely.
I think my husband will be tired of me by then because he already said, it's been 3 days. We need to go back to normal because you done got on my nerve.
Well, that's where everybody else comes in, like the co-workers and friends and stuff like that. So yeah, then just throw that energy off to everybody else. But keep that reminder. Let everybody keep knowing the rest of the month that it's your birthday month. Keep celebrating. And more importantly, have many more. All right. And I hope that you all enjoyed your holiday weekend as well. It ended with a sad note, of course, with the unfortunate passing of the talented actor Michael K. Williams. Condolences to the family and the acting world, family, friends, close relatives. Condolences for sure. But we'll digress. We won't really not care about it, but we want to just kind of talk about more happier stuff here. We definitely wanted to acknowledge the untimely passing of Michael K. Williams and get back into the action here, because a lot of times people consider Christmas the most wonderful time of the year. I know there's a song out about it, but the South got something to say about that in my Andre 3000 voice on that Source Awards that he had back in the day when they took home that coveted artist of the new artist or artist of the year then. But yeah, like Andre 3000 said, the South got something to say, and I'm from the South. Touchdown Tomboy is from the South. And we really got something to say about this because we agree and think that football season is the most wonderful time of the year. And of course, TT, I know that you really feel this way because it's important because it's your birthday month, it's Virgo season, anniversary, and to top it off, football season.
Yep. You know it. I mean, all things good have happened for me in the fall. So, this is my most wonderful time of the year. Girl, I can't be more excited. I mean, I'm ready. I'm so ready.
Absolutely. Definitely. Now, of course, there is a plethora of topics to discuss in the NFL, including the rosters. They finally cut it down to the 53-man roster as we're going into the official football season kicking off. One of the biggest names that got cut, of course, was Cam Newton by the Patriots. And also Josh Norman is now to the 49ers. We got Tyrod Taylor officially named the starter of the Texans, and the untimely passing of three-time Super Bowl champion David Patton. But since this is the first week of the NFL season that is upon us on Thursday, September 9th, with the Super Bowl champions hosting the Hard Knocks champions, the Dallas Cowboys. And this, of course, will be without Pro Bowl guard Zach Martin. He won't be playing due to COVID. So already first week here's COVID already coming up and rearing its ugly head as we go into the first week of the season. But again, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're hosting the Dallas Cowboys. And so for this first quarter of action, we're going to jump into our predictions for the season. So we'll stick with the Super Bowl champions there in the NFC South. We're going to discuss them in the AFC South. Now, the NFC South is, of course, the home of the Lombardi Toters, led by Tom Brady. on his quest for the unprecedented 8th ring. Now, although the Saints won the division in Drew Brees' final season, the Bucs, of course, took home the grand prize. Now, this year, the Saints are led by Jameis Winston, who, of course, came from the Bucs, and that's going to be an interesting change there. But touchdown Tomboy, now that they are led by Winston, do you see the Saints repeating as the champions? And also on the AFC South side, will the COVID-filled Titans fight out the bug long enough to defend their division?
Now, so starting with the NFC South side, I will say I see a lot of different scenarios that could possibly play out in the NFC South because I think that I'm not so confident in the Atlanta Falcons. I'm not really confident in what they got going on, but I see a very, very formidable defense with the Carolina Panthers, and I think that depending on, and I keep telling people this, I think that if they can get Sam Darnold to get confident enough to get about 3 good wins, I think we might can see the Sam Darnold that we saw from USC. And just depending on that, I think they win 11 games this year. Personally, that's me. I think they win at least 10 or 11 games this year. That's me. That's just me as a Carolina fan. I just see it in the cards. I just see where they're going, how they're maneuvering, what the defense is doing. Some things that I like seeing. I think it's really going to come down to how well Sam Darnold is doing. If he's still seeing ghosts or not seeing ghosts, I think that's what it's going to come down to. In terms of Jameis Winston and the Saints, I don't know, because as much as I like what the Saints are doing, and I do believe that Sean Payton is a good coach. A lot of times the Saints can be very, what's the word that I'm looking for? They can be very, they tend to stick to routine. So they're usually pretty much predictable. And so unless Jameis airs it out, which I expect him to do because he's already been doing it in preseason, I'm not really sure what I'll see. I mean, I think we'll see that defense still be a pretty formidable defense. And I think with them, it's really going to come down. Honestly, I think between the Bucs, Carolina Panthers, and the Saints, I really think it's going to come back down to what defense is playing the best and what quarterback is doing the best. Because I can see this going all types of ways, because now Tampa has come back off of this hangover, and the hangover is typically real. So I don't know what really to expect from them. And Tampa, they usually have a slow start and then they pick up. So I don't know. Will they be by the time they get it together, will they be too far along? Because now they've had some fights on the team and they had some little some issues internally and stuff like that that's going on. So I don't know. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that's going on. And then we are still in the middle of COVID. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I just see a lot of things. So I can't quite pick. In terms of, do I see repeats in terms of like the Bucs? So I can't say for the South yet. I cannot say, because I can see that going so many ways. But in terms of the AFC South, with the Tennessee Titans, I'm sticking with the Titans. I just do not believe in the Colts. I don't believe in Carson Wentz. So that's check negative. I feel like Jacksonville and Urban Myers, they have a whole new system with a whole new quarterback, with a new coach. I think that's just going to be a lot going on. You have the same thing going in Houston with a lot going on, still with the whole issues with Deshaun hanging on the tail. So I just don't see them having any competition coming out of that division. So by default, the Titans will win that division. But I don't quite know what's going to happen in the NFC South. And I know people say, and I'm saying that as honest as I can say it.
Gotcha. As for the NFC South, it was a little bit easier for me to make the pick. I know the Saints won last year, and I like what Winston has done in training camp and some of last season. under the tutelage of the great Sean Payton. I definitely agree with you. Like you said, they kind of become predictable. They don't really change up anything. Everything's pretty routine, even to the point, even though they're switching to Winston from Breeze. I mean, Winston can do a lot of the same stuff that Breeze did as far as airing out the ball and maybe add a little bit of mobility to it. So maybe they'll kind of take some advantage of that to where they didn't have as much of that with Drew Brees. But as far as the offense just being a pass-happy offense, yeah, you're right. I think that they'll stick with that, remain consistent with that, and become very predictable and one-dimensional. Oh, and Winston had the eye surgery as well. You know, there was a year that Winston threw 30 touchdowns. They threw 30 interceptions to go with it. But hopefully the surgery will nullify that and he can get off that turnover wagon there. And I like the direction of the Saints as far as that goes. But I don't see that direction pointing to them being the repeat NFC South champions. Not this year. I'm actually surprised that the Bucs didn't win the division last year, but I guess they started off so slow. They started off in a slow slump, probably still trying to gel and get the chemistry because there were so many changes. I mean, you had Brady come in, you had Brown come in. There were a lot of changes. Sue was there. So I think probably part of the reason why they got off to such a slow start was because they didn't have the chemistry developed yet. The familiarity wasn't there. You got all these pieces coming from all these other teams, and everybody's trying to get familiar with one another. But this year, they re-signed a lot of those pieces. And I think that coming off of that Super Bowl high this year, I see no signs of a sophomore slump from Tom Brady as he heads into year 2 with the Bucs. There's so many weapons on offense. There's such a swarming, dominating defense and a guru in Bruce Arians. So, of course, even though he's the current Super Bowl champion as a head coach, he's also won a Super Bowl champion as an offensive coordinator with my Steelers, and I definitely miss him. So you got this guy. I think he's out of, and I love Sean Payton. I really adore Sean Payton, but I think this is the best coach in that division and definitely a top tier coach in the league. So I just like their chances to take the throne. Now, I know Tampa really doesn't care as much about winning division when, like I said, last year they lost the division, but they got the ultimate prize. They got the grand prize and win the Super Bowl. So they probably don't care about the division. I think their goal is, hey, we just want to get in the playoffs. We know how to win games on the road in postseason. We just did 3 in a row last year. So I don't think they care about winning the division, but I think all signs point for them to win the division. Now, I do think that the Saints and definitely the Panthers will be competitive while the Falcons continue to find themselves. But I see the Tampa Bay Bucs win that division. A lot of reasons, like you said, about the Panthers being very competitive. I love what the Panthers have done on the defense. I just hope it translates from paper to field. Sam Darnold, you know, he's starting with a fresh team. He's now below the Mason-Dixon line, you know, got some Southern hospitality down here. And that may help him as well. He's reuniting with Anderson, who, of course, he spent time with at the Jets. And so I like all of that. I don't trust the Panthers coach yet. So that's the reason why I'm not completely sold on the Panthers. I need to see more. At this moment, I like Ja Rule as the coach better than Matt Rule. I just haven't seen it yet. I mean, I know he had 1 year. It's just, I don't like this guy yet. I don't know him yet, but I do definitely believe they'll be competitive. But I just like the Bucs to win that division. And the AFC South, not even the coronavirus in my Cardi B voice. And yeah, that didn't even stop the Titans last season. Speaking of Cardi B, congratulations to her as well. She just gave birth to a beautiful baby as well. Another Virgo joining with you, a fellow Virgo for you, touchdown tomboy. So yeah, the coronavirus already plagued the Titans last year. Here it is again. It's like a deja vu. But oddly enough, they still managed to win the division last year. And I think that weird is it's experience nonetheless, because they just had it. Here they'll go again. It's not the type of experience that you want to really brag about or put on your resume. But I think that weird experience that they had of going through the COVID last year, and having all the quarantine and all the separations and players being sent, I think because they're familiar with them, they've already experienced it. I honestly, I think that they'll be fine and still manage to overcome again this season. Now, the Jags and the Texans will be lucky to even touch a 500 record. Let's just keep it real. Those teams have quarterback issues, as you alluded to, you know, with Watson and now Tyrod Taylor, of course, being named a starter, a guy that I'm rooting for, because I feel like Tyrod Taylor, he's done well and he's had chances, like he did well with the Bills, of course, before Allen. Tyrod Taylor was really connecting some dots in Buffalo before they decided to trade him. And now they have Allen. I mean, he had a chance at Cleveland, but he got hurt in week 1. So he didn't get a chance to prove himself in Cleveland. And then the doctor did him dirty with the punctured lung situation in the Chargers. So it's not like he can't do it. It's just that he hasn't been able to. So I'm rooting for Watson. I don't believe the Chargers, but I like Tyrod Taylor going into this, but I don't like Houston. And I think there's going to be some karma swarming around Houston. I hope Watson will do well. Tyrod Taylor will do well, but it's just too much stuff going on in that Houston Texans organization for me to really believe that they'll make some noise in that division. And then, also some of their pieces are in Arizona. They got Hopkins is gone. You got J.J. Watt. He's in Arizona. So I think that those will hurt Houston as well. The Jags, as you mentioned, Urban Meyer, new coach, not only like he's coached before, not only is he a new coach in the NFL, he's also been away from coaching. So he's got to kind of get his feet back wet again a little bit too. So that's interesting. You got a rookie quarterback. Of course, Clemson looks like they need him maybe just as much or more than the Jags do need him. So it's just too much uncertainty with them. And as you alluded to, I mean, neither one of us are fans of Carson Wentz. And, is he starting week 1 with coming off of the knee situation? He's got COVID. He's in COVID protocol. I mean, it's too many questions with his health for us to believe in the coach. So, no. So it's Tennessee. It's set up for Tennessee. Oh, and by the way, the addition of Julio Jones to Tennessee, I mean, the main 10 I see is go ahead and print those division title champion T-shirts for the Titans, because I just don't see anybody else being able to touch them in that division. Now, moving into the second quarter, traveling to the AFC and NFC North, where the Steelers edged out the division crown, but had nothing to show for it, as the Browns, who also made the playoffs, finished them in the first round. And the Ravens also got in the postseason from the last year. So this is just an all-around talented division. Then you got the NFC North with a very unpredictable MVP. Aaron Rodgers decided to go ahead and check in to work. Came in with the office T-shirt, very sarcastically speaking. And last year, of course, he helped pack on another division title for the Packers, and they were a game shot of the Super Bowl. So, touchdown time, boy, do you see the Steelers and or the Packers repeating as the AFC and NFC North winners?
So in the NFC North, I do not have the Steelers repeating. Unfortunately, I know that's your team, and I know you love them, but it's going to be very, very hard for me to overlook what the Browns have done this offseason. They have shored up that defense, and they have done some good things. And I can't imagine that they are not going to build on that Kevin Stefanski offense and be more electric and more dynamite than they were last year. So I just expect them to be better than last year. And I feel like you guys lost more in the offseason and they gained more. So by default, now don't get me wrong, I like the Ravens, but I'm not really secure about the Ravens offense. Now the defense will always be formidable, but their offense, I'm not really that confident in, because I'm not quite sure that they've solidified enough pieces to really make that offense electrifying. But that's not the case for the Browns. So I would be shocked if the Browns did not win that division. Now, in terms of the Packers, I do think that the Packers will win that division. And the reason why I do think they'll win that division is simply because the Bears, even though the Bears will have a good defense, I think that at some point they'll turn it over to my guy from Ohio that came from Ohio State, Justin Fields. And because he's a rookie quarterback, he'll just get overwhelmed by some of the mistakes there. And they'll win some, but I don't think they'll win enough to outpace the Packers. Okay. And then, of course, I just have no faith in the Lions in what they're just doing as an organization. I don't even have them winning 3 games this year. And just Minnesota is just, I just can't really ever get them past mediocrity. Okay, like their defense could be as good as they could ever be, but you never can get them past mediocrity. For whatever reason that is, I can't ever get them past that hump. The best we've ever done with them was with the Minneapolis Miracle that year where, with Stephon Diggs, and then they shipped them off, and then they got rid of Kyle Rudolph, and now all they have is Jefferson. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, I don't understand. And then they got all types of drama surrounding their quarterback with the COVID and the vaccinations and the unvaccinations. So I just see too much drama over there. Okay. So because of that, I just think that even with all the drama that my diva friend Aaron Rodgers brings to the table, the one thing that Aaron Rodgers can do is, even as a diva, is he can play very well. Okay, him and his divalistic self, he can get out there and he can toss a ball around very, 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 very beautifully. And he's reunited with Randall Cobb, and he has Devontae back, and so I think it'll just be like old times. And and I think they'll do some really old cool things, and I think they'll win the division by default.
Gotcha. And trust me, touchdown time boy, there was no reason for you to apologize about what you said about my Steelers, because I completely agree. As much as it pains me to say this, I think Cleveland will finally get back to holding the division crown. I know how to be unbiased, and I know how to put my pride aside and be factual. Even though they beat my Steelers, it was really nice to see them back in the playoffs last year. I mean, I've said this quite a few times, but I think it's important to their fans and to their organization just as a whole, and important to the league, for a storied franchise such as the Browns to have some type of relevance. And well, not some type of relevance. We want good relevance, because I mean, they've lost a lot of games and they've been relevant for losing. But I like the tilt. I like it being the other end of the spectrum. Even though they are my division rivals, I don't hate Cleveland. I dislike Baltimore more than I like Cleveland. I know that's hard to believe, but I guess maybe because I'm a Steelers fan in the South. Like, I don't live in Pittsburgh, and I know they're close. So maybe if I lived in Pittsburgh, I'd have a bigger hate for Cleveland, but I'm not a resident of there. So I don't quite have the neighborhood rivalry like a lot of in-house Steeler fans do. So I totally agree with you. I'm not mad at Cleveland at all. The one thing I really wanted them to keep, the defensive coordinator, he had the interim coach. I thought they were going to give him, that's probably the only thing that I didn't like with Cleveland, when they didn't retain
Greg Williams.
There we go. Thank you. Yeah, Greg Williams. That was probably the only thing, but it looks like, I mean, they didn't skip a beat. So good for them. I love the dangerous tandem of Chubb and Hunt in the backfield. And hopefully Mayfield will continue his maturation process. That's the one thing that scares me about Cleveland. Like, Baker Mayfield can slide into immaturity. He can kind of take for granted something, you know what I'm saying? Like, not even personality wise, but sometimes I just feel like he doesn't always take the game on the field as serious as he should. And I hope he doesn't skid back to that, because he's done very well. I mean, Cleveland might even have themselves a franchise quarterback, which was something that your boy with the money was supposed to be doing. And hey, here we go. A few years later, is Baker Mayfield. So I wish him continued success. I hope he keeps growing and keeps maturing, because there's some sign of more good times for the Cleveland Browns. And then we really haven't even seen Cleveland with their full offense. I mean, they did all of this last year without Odell Beckham Jr. So him still being with the team. And also, I just feel like as long as he's not injured or traded or detrimental to the team or the locker room, that could make them even more potent, even more dangerous. You kind of have to pick your poison on their offense, when Odell comes back and he comes back healthy. So I like Cleveland as the division winners this year. Now, I do expect for my Steelers and Baltimore, because again, all three of us made it to the playoffs last year. So I do expect all of us to really, really make it interesting. I like us to, once all three of us, I picked Cleveland for the division winner, but I like Baltimore and Pittsburgh to still make some noise once again in this division along the way, provide more of that brutal bruising, the black and blue, just the intense rivalry, like the hate that they have on the field. I expect that to be expressed. I expect it to be very, very interesting, and that will probably determine the outcome as well. But at the end of the day, overall, I am going with the dog pound to win the division this year out of the AFC North. Yes, I admit to that. It's breaking news. Yes, I picked Cleveland with my heart, soul, and mind intact. I am picking the Cleveland Browns to win the division, the AFC North this year. Now, the NFC North, I'm agreeing with you as well. I like the Packers to repeat. Yes, even with the unpredictable Aaron Rodgers, I love that you called him a diva. He definitely is. We should let's see, every time he hits the field, they should play Diva by another one of your fellow Virgos, by Beyonce in the background. I'm a diva. Like, that's perfect for Aaron Rodgers because that's exactly what he is. And as long as he's under center, you can never count the Packers out. Never. I think he's playing with a chip on his shoulder this year, again, being one game away from the Super Bowl last year. As you mentioned, he's reunited with Randall Cobb. And we saw that Randall Cobb needs Aaron Rodgers just as much as Aaron Rodgers needed Randall Cobb. So I do like them reuniting the healthy Devontae Adams, who was in the MVP conversation last year as well. Their fine coach, Matt LaFleur Eshkoshkar. I love him. And those in my Helter Skelter voice, I definitely love Matt. I know there's beef with those within the organization. And I know Aaron Rodgers might not really be a big fan of winning for the Packers organization, but he still wants to win for those faithful fans. And more importantly, he still wants to win for himself. So I have trust issues with Kirk Cousins, and although the Vikings do know how to put points up on the board, the issue for me is, can y'all stop a nosebleed? I mean, the defense. I mean, what's really good? It's just, I do not trust their defense. And then in the Bears organization, there's disgruntled players and coaches. There's a split. A lot of them are cool with Andy Dalton being the starter, and then a lot of them want Fields. So there's already a rift between them anyway. Like, there's trust issues. I mean, who knows? Some of the people that are unhappy about Andy Dalton starting a quarterback, who knows? They might miss a block assignment or anything, like, to try to get Fields in. Not saying that it would happen, but I'm just saying, like, that's how disgruntled and uneven their locker room is, especially on the offensive side. And then you got some players don't even like Matt Nagy, the coach of the team. So they disagree with that as well. So it's just a lot of tension within that Bears organization. So I do not trust them. And again, just too much internal conflict. And I know, yes, the Bears did make it to the playoffs last year, but let's keep it real. They had some Section 8. They definitely had some assistance in getting there. They didn't just do this on their own. They definitely had a little bit of welfare to get to those playoffs. So this is not a bona fide playoff team. I don't even know if they'll make it back again this year. And then as for the Lions, they're probably going to have to pull Megatron back out of the Hall of Fame or something. Matt Stafford gone. They're going to have to go back and get Megatron out of the Hall of Fame. If they ever want success again, Barry Sanders, Lomas Brown, somebody. Hey, at least they still got Motown. But other than that, yeah, I don't see it from the Lions either. So let's dive into your halftime presentation, birthday girl, here in this Virgo season, the lovely touchdown tomboy. What you got for us today?
Oh my goodness, that is so funny. Not Section 8. That was hilarious.
They got never wings in the prayer, like the Bears. They back into the playoffs for real.
All right, so this week, oh man, that was funny. So this week for our halftime show, okay, let me get myself together because that was funny. Okay. So this week for our halftime show, I wanted to talk about something that I feel like people don't understand as much as they probably want to or could or should, or they just need to know more about. So I wanted to talk a little bit about its origins, where it came from. And I thought, since we were at the beginning of the season, this was the perfect time to talk about it. So I wanted to talk about understanding salary caps. Okay. Good subject. All right. Yeah. So now, salary cap. So basically a salary cap is basically how much money the league can spend on their players. Okay. Now, how these numbers are derived is each team has a cap. The cap came about in 1994. That's when the whole cap thing came. That's when it started to be in 1994. And what the whole goal behind it is that, of course, the whole thought process behind the NFL was we wanted to create balance. So we wanted it to be fair across the board. So the one way that we create it to be fair across the board is we make sure that every team has an equal amount of money to spend. So no team can say, well, we can spend this amount of money, this team, and then you always have the lump side, the lopsided or the unfairness of different teams. So this team got many more players. So that's how they came up with the salary caps, so they can get fairness across the board. Now, the one thing that I thought was very interesting was how did they decided the percentages of how the money gets split. So what they do is they take the revenue from the NFL revenues and they split them between the owners and the players. And right now, the current split is, get this, 48% goes to the players and 52% goes to the owners.
Wow. Wow. Mind blown. The owners who don't put on uniforms and risk and sacrifice their body on the field get more than half.
I thought it would have been maybe 40% or something of that sort, but yes, they get more than half.
Oh my gosh.
So although we know a lot of these NFL players to be millionaires and they make a lot of money, for lack of a better word, they're being underpaid. I mean, like if you think about what they're doing in the grand scenario, they're being underpaid. They really are. And we can't see that because we're like, they're getting millions of dollars to do what they're doing. But when you look at who else is getting the money outside of them and what they're doing, they're definitely getting underpaid. I'm just saying that facts is facts. Just thought y'all should know that. Oops. Did I do that? I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh, Steve Urkel. Yeah, wow.
So now get this. So they divide the 48%. Then so the 48% of the revenue that's left, they divide that amongst the 32 teams. And that's how they get the cap for each team for that year. And so of course for this year, the cap dropped because they didn't get as much revenue because of COVID last year. Mm-hmm. So the cap dropped this year. So this year's cap is 185 mil. So now most people don't know this, which I didn't know this either until tonight when I started reading a little bit more, is that every team actually has a minimum amount of money that they're supposed to spend. So every team has a minimum and a maximum that they're supposed to spend. Most people just know about the maximum, but they don't know that there's a minimum as well. I didn't either. And starting in 2011, that was when they started allowing teams to carry over unused money from the previous year to add on to the cap. So that's when that all started, okay? And so now it's considered not to be a hard cap. So a hard cap means you have to spend this amount of money, not a dime over. So now they're considered to be a soft cap. So I'm gonna try my best to explain that so that you understand it to the best of my abilities, okay? So now a soft cap is basically like, so on paper, you basically are, okay, basically for accounting issues, you stick to the cap amount, but on paper, you may be over the cap amount. So what allows that is so you know how certain teams may be like, oh, we may be 30 million or 10 million over cap, whatever, because they're over cap all the time. How that happens is that the NFL has certain features, what they call appropriation. So those are like the signing bonuses and stuff like that. And that allows them to be over the cap limit on paper. Now, let me explain to you how that works. Now, let's say that they sign a player for 4 years and they give them a $20 million signing bonus, right? So now the 20 million is attributed to the first year, but they actually prorate that number. Okay. So even though it's attributed to the first year, and there actually might be over the cap for that first year and giving them that money, they only prorate it. So each year of the 4 years, they would only give them 5 million. So it'd only be 5 million toward the cap. So they could still be under, but technically over, if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. Because like you said, they're divided by, they're prorated.
Right.
Divided by the 4 years, they get 5. That makes perfect perfect sense, yeah.
Right. So they signed them for the 20 million because that was the total amount of the cap. And they attribute that to that 1 year that they gave it to them, but they break it down over the 4 years. So because they prorate it. And then of course, the one that everybody likes to talk about is the dead cap money. And of course, you know, the dead cap money is money that was guaranteed to a player, but for whatever reason, that player didn't work out, or that player moved to a new team, or that player is no longer with them. And of course, one of the famous ones that is currently out there right now is Carson Wentz and Jared Goff. So Carson Wentz, he has the bigger deal. So let's talk about him. So now he had $34 million or $35 million still against the cap with the Eagles. So now, how do they get around it? Because people are like, he has such a big cap, they can't get around that. They can't. So what they do is in theory, they can't. But what they do is they renegotiate the contract. And what they do is they take the contract from making it one big, basically pay trade of $34 million. Here's your 34 million, and they break it down into a signing bonus, and they break it down and pay him over years as opposed to one time. And that's how they get out of that. And they basically get out of it. And so they basically pay him installments as opposed to paying them in 1 year. And that's how they get out of those caps. And then they can put it onto the next cap and prorate it every year. And they'll go into the next year and they may already have 10 or 15 million on the cap, depending on what's left. But they can still get out of that contract. But that's not necessarily good either, because you don't want to keep doing that for multiple players, because then you're cutting down the rest of the money that you have for more, you know, the rest of the players that you have left. But I just thought that was interesting enough for us to talk about, people to understand a little bit more about salary caps, how they work. You know, I mean, the best method is really just pay as you play and keep going. And that's what you want to do. You don't really want to go in debt. You know, as my grandma said, you don't want to rob Peter to pay Bob, baby. Just pay him. Okay. So that's kind of how that goes. And I thought it was just an interesting topic. And that's all I have for today.
So basically, the NFL is set up on Afterpay and fraud pay and all this corner that you know, now you can buy Uggs and stuff through fraud pay and Afterpay. That's what the NFL been doing. Y'all ain't slick. Y'all ain't.
Girl, the NFL done went to a firm.
So that's what they're doing. You know, I really did not have any idea about that, especially with that 52 versus 48. I'm just blown away that the owners are getting that much. And now I'm starting to see a little bit more why, like, even though he's with my boys, I'm starting to see more of like the Le'Veon Bells and why they started to take control of their money and why they want to take more control and be more aggressive. And they were disgruntled because, again, the owners who are not out there sacrificing their bodies and stuff. I mean, some of these people who are owners, it's just that they were born in the family. That's how they got to this money. They've done not one down, not put on one shoulder pad or nothing ever. And you mean tell me you get more than me? And I'm out there putting my body on the line and CTE, and yeah, I get it now. So thank you for that.
I mean, and even if you think about that from that perspective, not only just that, you're dividing it by a lot less people. Yeah, you got 30, most people, it might be a family or one or two individuals who are owners of teams. So you're talking about maybe 190 million divided by 2 people, as opposed to 185 million divided by 53 people.
Yeah, the 53-man roster. That's crazy. Wow. I get it now, fellas. I really do. So picking up where we left off on our divisional predictions this season and heading to the third quarter with the AFC and NFC East picks. Now, last year, we saw some new faces, some long-time no-see faces with the Washington football team receiving their first division title since 2015, and the Buffalo Bills is the division winners for the first time since 2008. So, wow, what a difference a name change and a Tom Brady-less division make in those two divisions there. Now, touchdown, Tom, are these teams repeating as division winners, or who will knock them off and dethrone them?
Ooh, oh man. So in the AFC and the NFC East, well, I do have Buffalo repeating. Okay. After recent circumstances, I definitely have Buffalo repeating. God almighty. Yes, I have Buffalo repeating. I I'm just not sure. Okay, so here's my thing. In Buffalo's division, they have the Jets, they have Miami, and they also have the Patriots, right? So the Jets, we know they're just not ready. Miami, I think the question is how confident is everybody really in Tua Tagovailoa? You know, that's what it comes down to, really, honestly. How you know, and I mean, and Brian Flores may throw a monkey wrench in this deal before it's all over, you know, because you just never know what, you know, by game 1 or 2, depending on, you know, how he's feeling, you know, because Miami like to trade their coaches real quickly. So depending on how hungry he gets, you know, he might throw a monkey wrench in here, you know, because I've heard some rumors in that meal. So, I mean, I don't know. It just kind of depends, you know, it just kind of depends on what's going on with that whole scenario and how well Tua comes out playing. But for right now, I just don't have a lot of confidence in the Alabama quarterbacks. I just don't. I feel like they in Alabama, they've always been set up to win because of just the system that they come from. And because of that, I think that they don't know how to struggle and they don't how to get past struggle. And because of that, I think that that'll be the hiccup for Miami, and that'll also be the hiccup for the Patriots. And I think that the Patriots did themselves a disservice to let go of their veteran for a rookie, whether he was the future or not. If you're saying you're a win right now team, I just can't even imagine why you would do that. Not even knowing if your rookie, he's not mobile, he doesn't move outside of the pocket. Like, I don't know what they were thinking with that. It had to be, I don't know. It had to be some other powers that be with that whole situation, because there's no way that I think Bill Belichick really felt that strongly about it. I don't think that was all a Bill decision. I could be wrong, but I feel like there were some other powers that be that pushed Bill in that direction. Now, that's my personal opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Now, in terms of Buffalo's defense is very formidable. And what I saw in preseason, they look just as consistent as they did last season. And I think they'll come out swinging. And based upon what I'm seeing from all the other teams, I think by default, they'll win the division. They just will. I think the only other team that would have been able to give them a run is no longer going to be that team. So, I mean, I think because if you look at what they did last year, they didn't know how. One thing that no matter how bad people say Cam Newton is, nobody ever knows how to prepare for him. And I think they struggled with him in the first game. And in the first game, and I really honestly believe last year in the first game, if they would have won that game, they probably would have won that division. If he wouldn't have had that fumble, they would have won that division that year. And that team was horrible. So imagine what he would have done under center this year, and they had all better pieces.
I agree, definitely. So what you think about the NFC East?
I got a two-headed monster over there. Okay, let me tell you about my two-headed monster. Okay. So now, in the NFC East, okay, so now I love Washington. You know I love Washington because I'm a defense girl now, and I know that defense over in Washington is good, okay? And I know everything is going to come down to is how well is that offense is going to be clicking with Fitzmagic on the center, because you know Fitzmagic, when he on, but when he off, it's a disaster, okay? Now, the thing is I love Tyler Heineke and I also love Kyle Allen, but let's just be honest. They're not next level type quarterbacks. They're not even as good as Alex Smith. So I can't see them taking them but so far. So they're really going to have to really depend on Fitzmagic to do majority of the work and hope that he's on. Because unless there was been a ton of maturation in the offseason from the backups, I just don't see it. Then that means they'll have to depend solely on the defense to carry them the rest of the way. Now, not that I don't think the defense couldn't do it, but at some point you do have to have a few points from your offense. Now, here's the key. I think that the Giants have every piece that they need. The question is can they put it together?
Interesting. So you think it's gonna boil down to Washington and the Giants? Wow.
Think about it. They don't have, listen, let me tell you something. I said, wait a minute. They got Galladay, Sterling Shepard, Cal Rudolph. I mean, they got a whole Evan Ingram. You got Saquon Barkley if he's healthy out of the back front. You got a whole roster offensively, and the defense has gotten better. So it's like, I'm looking at this offensively and I'm like, wait, time out. You done already went and got the best tight. What? Galladay is just a monster by himself. So it's like, wait. Can they just put this together? And that's what I'm waiting on. If they can put this together, we might got something over there in Giants land. I just don't know if they can put it together with Danny Dimes. And that's where it gets a little shaky for me. I just don't know.
Gotcha. Well, I half agree with you about the NFC East. I didn't even consider the Giants until you just broke it down as thoroughly as you did. I just was completely going with the Washington football team to repeat as the champions. And I was looking at it more from a default perspective. I mean, this is a squad who gave my Steelers the first loss of the season, and it kind of just was a trickle-down effect from there. Again, because I know how to be unbiased and still just speak facts, we needed that. And I was proud and happy that it was the Washington football team that did it. With everything that Washington went through last year, we liked a lot of the storylines that with Alex Smith and Ron Rivera, him successfully battling the chemo treatment, them going back to the postseason. I was just really a big fan of all of that for Washington. Plus, just defensively, they have the best in the division, possibly even top 5 in the league, if we're talking about that. And now we're coming into a year with Ron Rivera out of treatment. He's back on the sidelines. He's a Super Bowl knowledgeable coach. So I like that in Ron Rivera, and I trust that with them. I think that's very helpful having him back on the sidelines. I mean, plus their name is similar to ours. I mean, they're WF team or WTF Too. I like that. And then speaking of WTF Too, with that the W being for women, they have Jennifer King, who came from the Panthers, being under Ron Rivera. Now she's with Ron Rivera again in Washington as an assistant coach. So that gives me more reason to cheer for Washington, and I wish her the best. And yes,
That is definitely a biased move for me. But yeah, I love the fact that they have Jennifer King on their coaching staff. Ryan Fitzpatrick, as you had mentioned, his veteran leadership. Ryan Fitzpatrick, even though he's never won every game, and he's been a journeyman, he's made some mistakes. Ryan Fitzpatrick is not cancerous. He's not detrimental to any team. He's been a stand-up guy in the locker room. He passes out veteran leadership, veteran experience. I like Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't care about how old he is. I don't care how many jerseys he's won. Sometimes his beard look like a mullet. I don't care about any of that. I like Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I love the fact. I think that was a great pickup for them. I'm a miss Alex Smith. I love his story, but I like them heading into the Ryan Fitzpatrick era. Some of the stuff, before you broke down the Giants stuff, I was looking at the Giants and the Eagles, like they're transitioning. To me, they were still kind of rebuilding, and that's the only reasons why I didn't trust them. Again, more so just from the rebuilding perspective, where I felt like Washington was kind of adding on, picking up where they left off and getting more pieces. I just feel like the Giants and Eagles are still kind of they're filling in too much, and the Cowboys, there's just too much inconsistency. We don't know how Dak will react coming off the injury. It's not proven. We don't know Ezekiel, since he got that big contract, he has not been the Ezekiel that we once knew. Mike McCarthy, this is a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and he has not shown any signs of that. And then Dallas's fans, I really feel like Dallas's fans sometimes can curse and jinx them because they already they be putting them fools in the Super Bowl before they even win the division. So I don't know. It's just too much inconsistency for me to rock with any of those three. So I like Washington in this. Now, the AFC East, that Tom Brady exit and the Josh Allen maturation process where a match made in AFC East heaven. I used to call this division the AFC least because no other teams were competing with the Patriots. The Patriots had been so dominant. The other teams were most of the time below 500 all of those years. But I really do like the competitive fieriness that's redeveloped from the reigning division champs. And I expect to continue, especially now, since they finally got to quench their playoffs thirst. Now, interestingly enough, though, Buffalo may or may not be renewing the rights to the stadium. They may be moving in the next year or two. So I feel like maybe that might be in the back of their minds. Like, we really got to do this for our fans. Like, we don't know if we'll still be playing here. So I think that might be like a little small factor as well. Like, they really might want to just show off because the time is possibly fading for Buffalo. So we'll see how it goes with that as well. I think, as you mentioned, I think that with New England cutting Cam, that is definitely going to bite them in the rear end. A lot of people seem to forget, like last year, Cam came to the Patriots very, very late. Before that, Cam Newton was the only starting quarterback that Tom Brady had never beat. And I'm talking about regular season. Like, a lot of people forget that. Like, let's not. And I really wanted a Tom Brady versus a Cam Newton, Tom Brady Super Bowl just to see like the ultimate, like that'd be the ultimate test. Like, I really wanted like a Panthers and Patriots rematch. I mean, they played in the Super Bowl before, but of course Cam wasn't there. But I really wanted that because I wanted to see how Cam would do against Tom Brady in that level of a game, because he's never lost to Tom Brady. So that competitive spirit. And then when Cam got there, in Cam's defense, when he came to the Patriots last year, it was very late in the season. He didn't have any time to really work out with anybody or play with anybody. That was also a year that 7 or 8 defensive players had decided they weren't playing because of the COVID. They took like a leave of absence or whatever. So there were 7 or 8 star defensive players as well. This is when Cam was on that team. A lot of people, they just refused to not play with Tom Brady, i.e. Gronkowski, who did a semi-retirement. So he left, bonded. So Cam didn't have that weapon. Then also Cam caught COVID. And they almost beat Seattle. The reason why they lost to Seattle is because New England's defense was on the field. That same defense who did not have 7 or 8 players. Cam had led them and set them up to beat Seattle. But guess who had the ball last? Russell Wilson. And so Cam didn't get a chance to get back on the field because the time had expired. And then, like I said, when Cam caught COVID, I don't think he ever bounced back from that. He got injured. So I think it was very unfair. Now, of course, I heard different stuff about it being vaccination. He didn't want to get vaccinated. Mac Jones had to teach him the playbook. Those things I don't know about. I'm just speaking more on the hardcore stuff, the stuff that you can't argue. We don't know about behind the scenes. We know he had COVID. We know he had an injury. We know that that Seattle had the ball last. So the intangible part. Oh, and by the way, Cam does better with tight ends. And New England went out and got all these tight ends in the offseason. I really felt like Cam playing with those tight ends would have been a bonus for New England. I really feel like he would have got it together because that's where Cam has had a lot of his success. So I really don't think that they did him. I think they did him wrong. I think that move was going to be karma for them. Like you said, Alabama quarterbacks have never been really, really successful. I think there was one like in the 70s or something that had some success with the Jets after the Joe Namath era or something like that. But other than that, no. Alabama quarterbacks just have not had success. And I think a lot of that will continue as well. And speaking of, like you said, with the Dolphins, I mean, who knows if Tua will even last injury-wise or trade-wise or anything. And I think also the way Miami did Fitzpatrick last year was dirty. I think some karma's coming back for them too at the quarterback position. So I don't trust Miami. Now I think that they'll make a little noise, but not enough to stop the Bills run. And, the Jets with the departure of Sam Darnold, I just expect them to have another crash landing this season too. So sliding into the fourth quarter as this episode's sun sets to the west, both familiar squads in this arena. The Seahawks served as the champs for the 5th time since 2010. And the Chiefs, of course, who have appeared in 3 back-to-back AFC championship games. And they have also been the division winners since 2016. So touchdown time, boy. You see much of the same success continuing for these two teams or someone dethroning them?
Oh, of course I see dethroning. Okay. So, all right. So here's the thing. I like the Chiefs because the Chiefs have a really, really good offense. But Achilles heel for the Chiefs has been, and it looks like it's probably still going to be, their offensive line struggles. They are having a lot of issues on the offensive line, whether they can't keep them healthy, whether they're shipping them out, or whatever's going on. Offensive line cannot stay together. Now, as of right now, they're saying, oh, well, we think we got it together, but, you can start out that way. But typically about game 4 or 5, when Patrick Mahomes starts running for his life, we're going to know just how together they're not. And I'm really concerned about that, because if Patrick Mahomes is running like he is remotely ran last year, that's just not going to work out. I don't care how many offensive pieces he got. If that offensive line is not together, he's not going to get anything accomplished. This is just going to be detrimental. Now, the thing is for some reason, the team that always has their number happens to be the team that is really never that good, which is the Las Vegas Raiders. How does that work? I don't ever know. Okay. So now, I don't know. So I don't know how the Raiders do it. I don't know. But they seem to always have the Chiefs number. So I think that if anybody could dethrone them, it could be the Raiders. Do I think they will? I don't know. I think that it's going to be a toss-up. And I honestly like the Chiefs. But I think they're just I think every team has that time where they're like, hey, and then they get caught sleeping. And I just think that offensive line stuff is just I think it's going to be a little bit more of a struggle. And then we already know, like, I like Steve Spagnuolo, but we know if the Kansas City does not score 1,000,000 points, that defense does not normally keep up enough. But the Las Vegas Raiders, they can score 1,000,000 points too. So that's why I'm saying I think it could be a toss-up. Now, in terms of the NFC West, now here's where it gets a little sticky. Now, I've always loved the Rams defense. Now, I'm just not convinced that they're convinced that by getting Matthew Stafford, they got what they were bargaining for. Really? I'm not convinced that they think they got that yet. I don't think they think. I think a couple of the things that I read, they think that he was okay, but I think that he was not quite what they thought they were getting.
Oh, wow.
Now, I will say, although I like them, and I always like Seattle, but I think with Seattle, of course, they always have offensive line issues. And now their defense is thinner than it was before, because now they done shipped off KJ Wright. And he's gone to, I forgot who he's gone to, but now he's gone. And so it's like they're not adding pieces back to just kind of, so I just think Russell will be back there just running for his life as usual. And now they're saying they've had a position change where they're trying to put DK on the defensive side of the ball. Like, what are you doing with that? Like, I have this is crazy. I don't know what's going on over there. And so the thing is that I see something very, very special brewing in San Francisco. And, if Kyle Shanahan can pull that double quarterback, because he won't name a quarterback. Yeah. I think he's going to rotate them. I think that they've been doing that because that's what they're going to do. And they've been doing it. They've been doing it in the preseason, and they look pretty darn good doing it. And they haven't done it since the 70s. And I'm telling you, if I don't think anybody that could do it offensively, because he's an offensive mastermind, I think Kyle Shanahan could pull it off. And I think that it could be something very special. And I'm just telling you, listen, I'm not putting it past him, because he said he's not, for the last time that I looked it up, he hadn't picked a quarterback. He said, y'all already know who, but he won't declare one, which tells me that he already knows what he's going to do. I see a 2-quarterback rotation. That's why they ran it all preseason to see if they could get it to work. And it looked pretty darn good. And I don't see if they can pull that off. I don't see anybody stopping that.
Interesting. I did not see that one coming that you were going to pick San Fran. Oh, wow. I didn't even have them on my radar. In the NFC West, for me, as much as I love Russell Wilson, Sierra, and those beautiful children they have, that's part of the reason why I'm not rocking with Seattle. Now it's wonderful to see Russell be this man of God and a family man, but I'm seeing him more on IG and social media, the fatherhood side. Again, beautiful thing. I love it. But I see the transition more into that role. I mean, he's a father anyway. Don't get me wrong, he's a father first, but like I'm seeing more celebrity, public relations, paparazzi, Russell Wilson, less football player. And that's definitely no shade, and it's not a bad thing, but I don't see, he's definitely not as dominant as he has been. And of course, back in the day, he did have to his rescue the Legion of Boom. That's back to the Legion of Doom. All those defensive pieces that are gone. And I'm starting to look at him, honestly, as a better father than quarterback. Sorry, sad but true, but here we are again. Like you said, he's been running for his life for the past few years. I mean, he's been running for his life on the football field more than he's been running after them Tyler. And I would think it should be the other way around, but no, he's out there running for his life on the football field. He goes by dangerous on his handles, and that's a very dangerous predicament to be in, to have to keep running for your life like this. So I just do not trust Seattle winning the division. And speaking of quarterbacks in that division, enter Matt Stafford to a team where he gets a better defense this year. The stuff that you just told about, where they feel like they're not getting what they bargained for, I had no idea. Hopefully, I'm just gonna chalk it up maybe to just preseason woes. Like, you really don't count. We're still trying to figure it out. I don't know. I hope he's not like that. Dang, because they thought that they really had got their guy. I hope that they did. But I just think that now that he's got this defense, it's something that he's deserved for quite some time, and it's also something that he's never had. So I hope that he'll bask in that, like not take that for granted, and be like, finally, and enjoy having success with that. He's also working with offensive guru Sean McVay, who of course we saw what he did with when they were named the Redskins. So we saw what he did and his success that he had there, which obviously got him the head coaching job that he has now. So to me, I feel like the Rams were a Matt Stafford away from winning that Super Bowl against New England a few years ago in Atlanta. It was a very low scoring game. It was a pathetic outing on offenses on both ends. But I really just feel like that was missing more for the Rams than it was for New England. So I don't know. I just think Stafford has a lot to prove. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. I think this change of scenery will be great for him. He's on the west side. It's LA. It's palm trees. It's endless sun. It's beautiful temperatures, which is definitely a huge difference from Detroit as far as their weather and stuff. So I'm hoping all of this good energy, this climate and stuff will be better for Matt Stafford. Now he's definitely in one of the toughest, most wide open divisions to win in and to play in. And we all know that the Cardinals, they're not a slouch. They're not going to be a slouch. They've been making improvements, vast improvements over the years. And San Fran will definitely do their best to make some things interesting. I mean, they went and got Josh Norman as well. And then all the talks too, we're talking about with this tandem of quarterbacks, which is to be determined. That would be glorious. That'd be very interesting to see. And we know Kyle Shanahan's a beast at offense. I mean, we saw him help Matt Ryan get an MVP a few years ago, which we all know that trophy should have had Kyle Shanahan on it and not Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan. I'm sorry, Matt Ryan. But like we see it's evident proof that was more of a Shanahan thing than it was Matt Ryan. So it'll be interesting to see what he does at the quarterback position. But at the end of the day, I like the Rams in this. I really do to win the division. But I think we might have an instance of 3 teams from that division as they've expanded the playoffs. I think this might be just like last year, how the AFC North had Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore. I wouldn't be surprised if 3 teams come out of the NFC West and make it to the playoffs either. Now, the AFC West, you bring up
some very interesting information about the Raiders, and they're finally going to be able to have fans in their stadium this year, which the Raiders fan base has been very raucous. They dress up, and I think that's been a big factor for the Raiders too. Of course, they did not have that at all last year. So every team was affected by COVID, but where some teams did allow fans to come to the home games, the Las Vegas Raiders said, no, not in our brand new stadium. No, you will not be leaving your traces of COVID, not in this brand new stadium we spent all this money on. We're just going to take a year off. So that's interesting. Like you said, that when you bring up the Raiders, and of course, they'll be able to have fans in their stadium this year. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I actually still like the Super Bowl champs to repeat as division champions here. But it does come down to the protection for Patrick Mahomes. But that aside, I still believe in them. I think the Chargers are going to keep things interesting, and they're going to be a team to keep your eye out on with their rookie having success last year. I hate the Tyrod Taylor story at the beginning of the season, how bogus that was last year, but it was their rookie was very refreshing and a pleasure to watch. And but yeah, I just feel like the Broncos, just Raiders, are still, Carr was mentioned as far as for trade for Brady. I think he's still a bit disgruntled. I think that there's still kind of like some locker room tension in there with the Raiders, and I think some people are starting to get a little bit impatient with the return of your boy Gruden. Like I feel like things haven't gone the way that they've expected with Gruden, so I don't know. This is a make or break here. It's definitely a big year for them, but I just feel like everybody's not pleased with Gruden, and that might reflect on the field. And going back with the Chiefs, I'm rolling with them too because they're the proven most consistent team out of the four in the division. Plus, they have one of the best coaches in the league. He's been to some Super Bowls with this team and a previous team, the Eagles. There's a lot of speed from the Chiefs. There's a lot of experiences. The Chiefs are so fast. I mean, like cameramen can't even keep up with them sometimes. And I do think, as you mentioned with Steve Spagnuolo, I was really disappointed in him with the Super Bowl because I've seen him work his magic on Tom Brady twice in those Super Bowls against the Giants. I was really disappointed with what he did last year in the Super Bowl on defense, but I do think that he will fix those flaws. So for me, I'm actually going with the Chiefs by a landslide to win the division. So wrapping it up here with our OT segment, we picked our division winners for all 8 divisions. We agreed on some, uncertain about some, we disagreed on some, but now we won't get too deep into the playoffs, but we're going to go just straight to the Super Bowl with our early predictions. And I'm talking about early, like freeway early, back in the Rockefeller days. So yeah, but of course we're going to go into this raw, very untapped, just pure theory and thesis only on who we're picking. Now this is one that overall the consensus, just overall the crowd favorite, the fan pick, the sexy pick is a rematch between the past Super Bowl. Everybody wants like a repeat Super Bowl. They want to watch the Madden cover recipients and Tom Brady and his Bucks once again take on Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And of course, the Chiefs make it. This will be this will be yearly appearances for them as well. This will be 3 out of 4 years appearances for them. No, I'm sorry, it will be 3 in a row for them. That's right, because they beat San Fran, then they lost to Tampa. And so yeah, this will be 3 straight years if they happen to make it to the Super Bowl. So T Square, do you agree with the masses? Is this who you want to see? And if not, who?
No, I don't want to see it. That was the worst Super Bowl I ever saw in my life. I hated it. I don't want to see that. Please don't ever play that for me ever again. I actually think that in terms of a good Super Bowl, I would like to see possibly. I'll pick 2 teams out of each. Well, I say 3 teams. I could see possibly 3 teams. So I'll say the Browns, the Titans, or the Bills out of the AFC.
Okay.
Out of the NFC, I could see San Fran.
Oh.
I'll say San Fran. I'll say, who do I like at the NFC that I like that? God.
You like the Bucks going back?
Yeah, I think because the Bucks have but I have a hard time saying that because I just think that I don't go against my own gut with that. I just never do, because I just have always been a firm believer that Super Bowl hangover stuff is real. And I don't see it. So that's why I'm kind of like, maybe not. So I'll say, I'll give the Rams a shot. I'll say, well, possibly either I'll say the Rams, the San Fran, or I got to pick a Southern team. I'll say, let me think, somebody out of the South that I think I like. Let me see here. Let me see my NFC South teams. My NFC girl. Let me give you I'll give you my 3 NFC teams in a minute. But they're my AFC teams for sure.
Okay.
My NFC, see, the problem is that my AFC is much stronger than the NFC.
Right.
It really is. Oh, girl, I done forgot about the Packers. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry, Packers. I'm so sorry I did that to y'all.
When you said South, that's why I didn't say the Packers, but when you said
Well,
South,
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Aaron. And you a diva, baby. I'm sorry. How did I forget about the Packers? So the Packers, San Francisco, and I got one more team out of the NFC, girl. Wait a minute. Give me one more second, because I am drawing a blank over here. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry, Aaron. Okay. That was your girl. Okay. I was being divalicious. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. Girl, what is I'm doing over here, girl? Yes, you gotta help me, girl. I'm getting old. What am I doing? I'm sorry. How did I even forget about the Packers? What in the world? Oh Lord, Aaron, I can't believe I did that. And you done got Randall Cobb back, and I done forgot about you. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry. You gotta forgive you, baby. You gotta forgive me, baby. Oh Lord, have mercy. So that's 2 teams. I got one more to give you. I got one more to give you out of the NFC. I don't know. You go. I'll give you my last team in a minute.
Oh goodness, that was pretty good. Yeah, I'm about like you. I mean, I know the sexy pick, of course, is Tampa and Kansas City. But yeah,
That Super Bowl went from 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. Like it started off, I think Kansas City was up 9-0, and then that was it. They didn't even pinch the team anymore. And I know like financially and the Madden cover stuff, like it makes sense, but I've never been a fan of the repeat teams going back. I mean, in NBA, I'm a huge LeBron fan, love LeBron, but I absolutely despise like that era where LeBron and his teams in Golden State kept facing each other like 4 times back to back. I was sick of it. After the second one, definitely. I didn't like it. I don't like it. And I don't care if he is my boy. I've never been a fan of a repeat championship game. I just don't, regardless of what sport it is. And of course, I know that Tampa and Kansas City, that's the most logical pick. That's the safe pick. I don't want it. Of course, my heart always wants to pick my boys. I would love to see my Steelers in, as far-fetched as it is, but more so because even though I'm not the biggest Big Ben fan, it's because it's in his 18th year. Like, I don't know if Ben going for 18 and that's it, because or 20, like like Kobe has done, and like LeBron seems like he's trying to do, who's also LeBron's in his 18th year, or if he's trying to stick around as long as Brady is. I don't know Ben's purpose. But with it being his 18th year, he really doesn't have much time. So of course I would like to see my boys in it. But other than my boys, and the popular pick, I definitely like the Rams or the Packers. And of course, this is bearing no injuries, no huge suspensions or trades, anything detrimental in the locker room. These are the 2. Now, I think it's pretty obvious this is going to be Aaron Rodgers' last year with the Packers. So I'm sure he wants to, even though he does not want to win for that Packers organization because he cannot stand the front office. But Aaron Rodgers, again, is a proven winner. He's very competitive. He wants to win. So I think he kind of wants to go out on top, away from the Packers organization, and get a Super Bowl, especially after being 1 game away from it last year. I like the Rams for the most part. The nucleus is still there for the Rams who went to a Super Bowl a few years ago. Offense was a huge issue. I hope Stafford makes the difference. And I think Sean McVay is a really, really, really good coach. And so, yeah, I think that on the AFC side, in addition to my heart wanting it to be the Steelers, I wouldn't be mad if it was the Browns in there. And the Chiefs, of course, is the safe and sexy pick. But I like to go against the grain. I don't like the repeat. So I wouldn't be mad, even though they're in my division. I wouldn't be mad if the Browns went there. On paper, it looks very realistic. It looks very possible. So yeah, bring them on. I do know for sure, like, of course, Tampa's the biggest threat. I don't want Tampa in there. I don't even want the Chiefs in there. I don't want anybody to repeat. And if they do happen to face off again, I would like the Chiefs to win it more so than Tampa again, because Tampa just won. I don't care about that repeat championship stuff unless it's my team or whatever. But at the end of the day, I really am not a fan of that repeat stuff. So yeah, any of those teams, I would, because Aaron Rodgers is my favorite quarterback in the league right now. I really would love for and I know he hates the Packers. I really would like for Aaron to go ahead and give him a second one, even to the point where Aaron beat my boys in the Super Bowl. I really wasn't tripping because I like Aaron, but I really would like for him to get one more on pretty much his last year and playing with Green Bay. So touchdown time, boys, you circle back around to who else you missing out of the NFC?
You know, it's crazy because I'm looking at, I had put, I said, well, who am I missing? So I was like, so I'm sticking with my three: Buffalo, Cleveland, and Tennessee in the AFC. And
Okay.
I'm struggling. I'm struggling because San Francisco, Green Bay. San Francisco, Green Bay. And honestly, I can't. It's hard. Outside of San Francisco and Green Bay, I can't see because it's just the whole repeat thing. I just don't believe in that magic. I guess that's for me too. So it's hard for me to pick them. But I don't see, you say the Rams, but I just don't. I'm not that confident. I'm just not feeling that confident, because I'm just not. So I see San Francisco, I see Green Bay, and I don't know. I don't know who else out of there. I mean, I want to say us, but that's not realistic. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Because I just see the NFC not being great this year. It's just like, I'm looking at these teams in the NFC and like, even Washington, I think their defense could carry them really far, but I don't see them like, unless they're like, unless they keep their score like no points, that means they're going to work Chase Young and them to death. So, I mean, that's just not realistic. They're going to have to score a few points,
Right.
I just don't. I don't know. I don't know who that third team is.
It's all good.
Oh, I can only see two teams. Because I only see two teams that I can see balanced football on both teams, on both ends. And even in Green Bay, I see some issues on the defensive side of the ball. So, I mean, I just see that the AFC is much stronger than the NFC is.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, that makes complete sense as why you were kind of stuck on getting the third team. I mean, maybe one of the two that you mentioned will get in, and so a third team not even be necessary. So we're wrapping up here. Of course, we want to once again wish the touchdown Tomboy Shalika a happy 40th birthday. 40 on top of 40 more on top of that, 40 more on top of that. I mean, we live in 100, 105, 120 now. So yeah, many more birthdays to you. And of course, again, happy anniversary as well. So busy and fun time for you and football season as well coming around the corner. So yeah, happy times for you here in this September. Heavy duty month and lots of fun going on for you. And again, thank you very much. It means a lot to talk football with you, something that we both love. It is something I definitely do not take for granted, and I appreciate that so much from the bottom of my heart. And so you deserve all of your birthday wishes, and I hope that they come true. Again, I appreciate you. So thank you so much. This is probably Of course, I work all the time, but just having that relief of talking football to another woman who appreciates it and loves it as much as I do, that really means a lot to me. And so for that alone, if nothing else, I do hope that your 40th birthday is the most special and the best one that you've had. And again, I hope you have many more. So do you have any shout outs or anything that you have going on?
I don't, man. I'm just so full. I'm so happy and things have gone so great. And I've been blessed, man. And I'm just ready for football.
I know, right? Well, we're going to be most likely seeing a lot of moving and shaking in the Baltimore Ravens organization. They lost another running back as well. It's crazy. So they're working out some running backs. So I imagine we'll probably see some new ones added to the roster by the time football season starts, or at least sometime next month. Yeah. So we'll be keeping our eyes on that. We'll try to do something weekly, you know, then the season starts, some recaps and just seeing how things are going. You know, again, best time of the year, you ask us. So we're looking forward to it. We appreciate you guys for the support and the love, the feedback, you know, when we put it up on YouTube and you guys are reaching out and the compliments, and it's like people don't even say like, wow, you women know what you're talking about. It don't even, it just be like, oh, I agree with that, or that's what's up, that's crazy. I think the same way. It's becoming blurred lines. Like nobody, it's not even becoming about women. People are just really appreciating the fact that we know football and love football. So that's a beautiful thing and much appreciated. So yeah, well, enjoy the season, everybody, and stay safe, especially if you're going to those games out there in the stadiums. A crazy time that we're dealing with masks still going into almost the whole 2 years, and we're still dealing with this. So be safe, enjoy the games. Good luck to everybody's teams, and again, we appreciate you guys. This is another episode of WTF 2 Women Talk Football 2. Touchdown Tomboy TT, Gridiron Goddess Gigi. We appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you next time. We're out.